All right, so now we're going to do 8.5i. Remember, I'm not going to mute you people, so you just don't talk. Don't make any noise, please. All right, 8.5i starts off with write an equation in the form y equals mx plus b to model a linear relationship between two quantities using verbal, numerical, tabular, and graphical representations. Okay, so y equals mx plus b, that's called slope-intercept form. Remember, we got y equals mx plus b, okay? Where this right here, that's your slope, or you might have heard about it, your teacher might have said rise over run. Okay, I know I said that before in our class. I know Mr. Hernandez says that also. Rise does not always mean up. It means both up and down. And run means left and right. Okay, if it's positive, remember slope is always a fraction. It's got a numerator, denominator. If it's going up, it's a positive numerator. If it's going down, it's a negative. Okay, and then your run also can be different signs. If you're going to the left, it's negative. If you're going to the right, it's positive. Okay. This right here, your B is your y-intercept. Okay. Your y-intercept, I called it the door because it's easy for me to remember as the door. Okay. So when you have a wall is vertical, which is your y-axis. That is where your line crosses. So if I have a graph like this, all these are positive doors and these are negative doors. So I would always say is it upstairs or downstairs, which is upstairs is positive, downstairs is negative. So whatever, say it's negative, it's over here, and that's where your line shoots through, okay? So that's how you graph those first. You graph this first, and then you follow whatever your slope tells you to do. It tells you to go up or down or left or right, okay? So that's slope-intercept form. All right, so this example here that they're giving us is a table. Okay, number of questions correct. We have to write an equation with this table, with this information displayed on this table. We got number of questions correct and the score on the test. So I'm just going to put Q's as for questions and score. All right, so then they gave us some numbers. They gave us 6, 10, and 12. 6, 10, and 12. And they give us 51, 83, 99. 51, 83, and 99. All right, so the first thing we need to do is we need to find the slope, okay? And to find slope, there's an equation, m equals, and we all know this one already, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, okay? And all this is, there's two y values up here and two x values, and we're finding the difference, okay? Remember I told you that the graphs and tables, they're always written the same, okay? So this one, we got x's always go on top and then y's go there, okay? They're always like that. So even though it doesn't tell us that that's an x, it's an x because it's on top. This one doesn't tell us it's a y, but we know it's a y, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and plug two numbers in there, or four numbers in there. And again, we can choose whichever ones we want. We don't have to be very picky. So let's choose these two and those two. Okay, those two are sets. They're coordinates. You got your x value and your y value, x value and y value. Okay, so I'm going to call this guy right here x1, which makes that guy x2. He's the first x, he's the second x. This one I'm going to call y1 because he's with x1, and this is going to be y2 with x2. Okay, so now I know who's who. So now I got to put them where they go. So I'm going to go ahead and make my fraction right there. I'm going to put y2. Y2 goes first. Y2 is over here, which is gives me a 99, minus y1, which is 83, and that goes there. Okay. Now we're going to do our x's. x2 goes first. x2 is 12, minus x1 is 10. Okay. So now I can start solving this. Let's go ahead and just scoot it over this way. All right, so 99 minus 83. We can do the two-stick rule. You don't really have to because the bigger number is in front, but it doesn't really matter. It makes it easier anyway. So we got one stick, two sticks, and one stick, two sticks. Okay, so 99 minus 83 is what? 16? Yeah, 16. And down here we got 12 plus negative 10. Positive wins by 2. Okay. So now I got 16 over 2. That is my slope. My numerator is a positive, so that's going to go tell me to go 16 up. And my denominator is a positive, so that tells me to go 2 to the right. Okay, but I can also simplify that, and I can get 8 over 1, which is the same thing as doing this. This one's just going to be a little bit bigger step on the graph, where this one is a smaller step, but they both end up on the same line. They go in the same direction. It's the same thing, up and to the right. Okay, so now we know our slope. So now we got to put in the equation, y equals mx plus b. So I'm just going to continue going that way, so it'll make it easier. All right, so my slope is 8, okay? This is also the same thing as 8 because it's just 8 over 1. So I'm going to plug it in right there where it goes. So I'm going to put equals, oh no, let's try it here. Y equals 8x plus b, okay? So now I know that that's my slope. Now I need to figure that out. But before I do that, I need to change these two to numbers, okay? So I have sets of numbers up there. I can choose whichever ones, okay? But of course, they have to be a set. I can choose the ones that I chose earlier, or I can choose that one that I didn't choose. Let's go ahead and choose this guy so he doesn't feel left out. Y is this one right here, the score. So 51. So I'm going to change that to a 51. 51. 8 stays 8 because that's my slope. And x is a 6. 6 goes there, plus b. So now I have one variable. So now I can solve for what b is, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it right here so I can run it. I'm kind of running out of room here. 8, 6 plus b. All right. So now I'm going to multiply this. 8 times 6 is 48. 48 plus b equals 51. Now I need to get rid of this to get this guy by itself. So I'm going to put minus 48. Since that's a positive, I got to do the opposite. So minus 48 gets rid of it, leaves b by itself. Minus 48 here. 51 minus 48, well, that's 3. So now I know my b. My b is a 3. Okay, so now I can put it all together in the equation. I'll put this all up here. I'll go y equals 8x plus 3. And that is my equation, okay? So if I was to graph this, I'm going to get rid of everything. Since I already know my equation, my slope is this guy right here. So I'm going to go m equals 8. And I'm going to put it over 1 because I do want it as a fraction, okay? Because you need a rise and a run. This tells me to go up, and this tells me to go to the right, okay? This is my door. This is my b, okay? So I'm going to put b equals 3. So if I was to graph this, first thing I do is my door. I got to find out where my door is on my wall. Well, that's a positive 3, so that goes upstairs. So 1, 2, 3, and that goes right there. So that's my door. Now, after I find my door, now I got to get to my seat. So those are the directions to get to my seat. I have to go 8 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1 to the right. And that's my graph. And that's it. That's how you find your slope and your y-intercept from a table. On that one, they gave us the answer. They chose different numbers than I did, but we got the same thing. Y equals 8x plus 3. Okay? All right, so let's do number 1 together. So if you're listening to this, go ahead and follow along. They give us what is the equation for the line passing through the points -2 and -2. And 2 and -4. So on this one, they just give us 2 coordinates. They don't give us a table. But remember, it's the same thing. We've got x's and y's. So I got -2, -2, and over here 2 and -4. Okay. So again, they didn't give us a table this time. They just gave us coordinates. I know this is my x and this is my x. So I'm going to call this one x1, and that's x2. This is my y1 because it's the first one. Y2. Okay, so I'm going to follow the same process I did earlier. Y2 minus y1. First thing I got to do is find my slope. X2 minus x1. I don't have to pick anything because I only have 2 things anyway. So let's start putting things where they go. First guy is this guy, y2, -4, minus y1 is -2. Make sure you put them both. It's minus -2. Okay, you don't just put one. Down here, I got x2, which is 2 right there, minus x1, which is -2. Okay, so this is where the two-stick rule comes in handy because this looks pretty messy. -4 minus -2, I don't know what that means. So I'm just going to do this. One stick there, one stick there. Remember, it always happens in the middle. One stick there, one stick there. So now it looks a little bit more clear because now I can see the competition. I got 4 negatives combined with 2 positives. Well, I know the negatives are going to win because there's more of them, and there's more by 2. Down here on the bottom, they're all just going to combine. It's 2 plus +2, so that's just 4. Okay. So right there, that is my slope. It's not in simplest terms, but it's my slope. Okay. So this is a negative number, so that's going to tell me to go down this time. This is a positive number, so it's going to tell me to go to the right. So those are my actions. Okay. So I'm going to simplify it, and that's going to give me -1/2. And I can't simplify it anymore. And if I go 1 down and 2 to the right, it gives me the same line that this one does. Okay. So now I know my slope. My slope is that. So now I'm going to find my b. So I'm going to put y equals mx+b, because that's slope-intercept form. I'm going to replace my m with my slope that we just found. Okay. So I'm going to go y equals 1/2 x plus b. And again, we're looking for b this time. Okay, so we need to find numbers for these two. That way we can only have one variable, so we can solve for it. So x, we can pick either one of those. I'm going to pick this one because this one is positive, and that's going to be easier. Well, they're both easy. Doesn't really matter. So I'm going to pick this point right here for this part. So let's go. So my y is going to be a -4. -4 equals -1/2. And my x is going to be a +2 plus b. Okay, so right now all I did was replace, grab points from there, grab the x and the y from up there, and put them where they go. Y goes here, x goes there it is, there that is. So now we're just going to multiply. So negative times positive, I know it's going to give me a negative, and 1/2 of 2 is 1. So that gives me that. Everything else just falls. Now I need to get rid of this guy. That's a -1, so I'm going to do the opposite. +1 gets rid of it, and +1 here. Over here, I'm left with just b. And over here, these two are going to fight, and the negative is going to win because it's got more, so I'm going to get negative. So there is my y-intercept. So I know this graph or this line is going to go through a door that's downstairs because it's a negative door. So now I'm just going to put it in my formula, y equals mx+b. I know my m is this, -1/2, and then the x goes afterwards, and I know my b is this. And that's my equation. So if I was to graph this, I would go 3 down as my door. That's this guy here, B. And from there, I would go do the action that we had stated up here. I'm going to go down 2 and over, or down 1 and over 2. We go down 1 and over 2. So that would be my line. And look, if we had used this slope that we didn't simplify, it would land the same thing. I would go down 2 and then over 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it actually hits the line also. Okay. So a simplified version or an unsimplified version, it hits the same line. Okay. So that's how you do this worksheet. This is 8.5i, making the slope-intercept form, the y equals mx+b, from different sets of data, either coordinates or tables. And that's 8.5i.